Hello everyone, I'm High Treason and welcome to The Long Drive. The Long Dick. Now, we're going to continue driving a really long way today. I think this is part 4. I think. Thought my car wasn't there then. It's weird how the diesel engine noise seems to take ages to load in. Hey, do you want to know something if you run out of fuel? What's this? It's not working right. We need to just get that. And here we go. There, drive this around. I don't know if you can go up hills with it. We should totally test that out, you know. These things are a bastard to drive with, but you know what, we'll bring it for a little while, but this is going to slow our progress, so we're starting at 100 k's. Let's go! Not going to go for too long. Yeah, I'll show you why I don't use trailers, I guess. We'll find out. God, I can't wait for my new headphone cable to turn up. I remember when it used to be cheaper to make them. Wheel of my chair is in the way of my pedal. Hold on. Let's see if we can force that around a little bit. There we go. Yeah, I've still got paper and cables on the ground. I'm moving the room around a bit. The dead trees. They look weird in the distance. Some of them look like it's a guy pointing. Some of them I always think there's a bird in them. Yeah, let's drive a bit irresponsibly fast with the trailer. To be honest, having the trailer's not too bad all the time, but you put things in there. And the problem is there's nowhere to secure the load, so it goes to the back, and you don't want things at the back when you have a trailer. But all the way at the back, that's bad. I think you sort of want to say ideally you want it over the axle, but I almost feel like you want it at the front. So as the trailer starts getting wobbled, and that's not real good. It does affect the handling somewhat, just having it there at all. This car only has 150k left on it before we're going to be giving serious consideration to replacing it, like we will actively look for a new car at that time. If I find something really awesome on the way, then we'll just take it anyway, but I don't think we're that likely to. Yeah, now you see that tower on the left? Those are a way you can navigate off the road, because they're spawned in a straight line. So you just follow them back, count how many you've gone past, and you know, if you drive past that many trying to get back, then obviously you've gone the wrong way, and you need to turn around and go past twice as many now. I don't have to do that, obviously. There was none of them in sight when I was navigating, but that's a way you could leave the road and find your way back, I guess. Especially if you had the binoculars. It's the trailer knocking us to the side. See if there's anything worth having in here. Oh, what did we snag? That has to be a trailer thing, right? Or is this car wider than the others? This car might be wider than the others, you know? Well, that's no good. 2102. Oh dear. Trailer's in better shape than ours. Yeah, this car's wide. Look at that. Wow. Tempted to paint it. Oh, well, we could take this. If this starts up right away, we'll just take it. Oh, it's blue as well. I'm kind of sentimental about this truck in this game. Because it's what I completed the game in, was one of these. It was more of a petrol blue though. Oh, it doesn't start. Oh. Would it be easy to make it start? There's no oil, does it have... There's alcohol in there. It has diesel in it. I think it would be a bit shit going from VW to VW. So I don't think we'll do that. I think what we will do is... we will go... See, I don't need this shit, I'm just putting it there because, you know... I think we'll try and make it start up. So I only got oil recently, but I don't really want to hang about here too much. On the bog. Just drop a shit in there so they know we're here. If we have any oil, I'll check the barrel on the way down. You know, I'd like to start the truck up just to say we did it. Man, they got a lot of toilets in this place. But buildings do need, like, more toilets in them. And most only come with, like, one. And I don't think that's good enough. You know, really a building should have, like, well, it depends on the size of the building, don't it? Geez, that fridge is going to be in my way. Right, let's just biff the wall. Ah, fuck it, we'll do it this way. Dude, reversing's hard. Especially there's a doorstep and there's that post there. Catching a mirror. We probably are. How far is it to that post, do you reckon? Oh, bags of room. Tell you what. Will this actually fit out of here, do you think? Oh, it will. It should. See what, I've got a slightly better idea. What are we stuck on now? Oh, it's definitely caught on something though. Come on, I don't have time for this faffing about. It shouldn't really be stuck on anything, should it? Oh, it's just the doorstep. Okay, come on. Whoa! Yeah, the physics engine didn't like that. But we probably lost more than just the, we lost the light. There's the mirror, there's the light. I'll stop messing about. Thing is, messing about is a big part of what makes this game what it is. So I feel like we have to do it a bit, don't we? Let's be honest. Sorry I biffed your truck, I didn't mean to. But, you know, it was being stubborn and I'm not a very patient man sometimes. Yeah, we'll get to drive one of these at a later time, but for now, we'll just, we'll turn the lights on. I can't drive this one anyway, it has a physics bug. You hear that banging? Yeah, it's not real good. Right, let's fucking get out of here. car, that's your cousin. Oh god, can I not reverse this now? I mean, I know there's a trailer, but... What is it? Is that the problem? So it is. I can hear reboids. Right, let's bail. God, we've only done like barely 6 k's. Making terrible time. We've got to go fast. I never did replace my radio. Could have stole it out that truck. You don't really need it. It doesn't affect the operation of the car. And the fuel's still almost full. Good God, this trailer really does affect the driving. It's going to do silly things at some point, I just know it is. And then I will detach it and be like, no, we're never using one of them again. But someone I know is going to ask me. I've only uploaded the first part like yesterday, so you know, you're going to be a bit behind where I am. Pardon me. So yeah, you know, it'll take me a while before I'm where you are now. It'll take you a while to get where I am now, I guess. Oh, stomach. It's in a bad mood. I've been doing woodwork for about a quarter of the day. I don't get on with wood. I'm much better at metal than wood. Metal does what I want it to. Wood doesn't. You know, you can't easily bend wood. It doesn't inherently work with bolts. You know, can't weld it. It looks great, wood, sometimes. I do like it as a material, I just don't enjoy working with it. And to be honest, I like the smell of wood, but I actually prefer the smell of metal. Like, I really like the smell of welds. Like, when you weld mild steel, it smells awesome. It's fucking poisonous, so I shouldn't like it, but yeah, I actually do enjoy the smell when I get the welder out. MIG welding, I need to try stick welder out at some point and see what sort of results I can get with that. Thus far I've only done, you know, MIG welding. I'd like to have a go with the TIG welder. That'd be interesting. So those are just weird. The way you sort of, you start an arc and then feed the rod down with like your other hand. It's just out in the open. I bet that's quite difficult, you know, to get the hang of. I bet there's a real art form to that. I mean, there is to like other welding, but even with no skill, you know, you could probably get a decently solid MIG weld. So it'll look shit, but it'll probably hold as long as you don't load it too hard. You won't be able to load it as much as a good quality, like MIG weld, but you know, even someone who's brand new can probably just stick a couple of bits of metal together with a MIG. TIG I don't know about. I do think there might be a bit more skill involved in it. So I'd like to give it a go, just to see if I can do it. MIG welding I seem to be actually not that bad at. I've switched to a DC welder recently and my welds actually look pretty good now. We won't bother stopping there. There's no interest in it. We don't need anything. So this is why we're going to switch car every now and then, just to keep the adventure a bit better. So biff the trailer on that. Biff. There we go. Dear me, it's getting dark. Shall we sleep the night off? Well, it seems I left my headlights on, so that sort of suggests that no, we won't sleep the night off, we'll keep driving. We'll keep going through the night. Dark Knight Riders riding through the night. Dark Knight Riders riding. Shitty 90s song. This is sort of off of my vocal range. So I'm sure at least some of you have heard that song I wrote called Fuck Your Sister. That was off my vocal range, because I'm like, oh, I wrote this song. Yeah, it needs like 2.5 octaves of range. My voice doesn't really comfortably do that, so... yeah. I can't get no one else to sing it for me, so it's do it myself or don't do it at all. I would actually like to hire like some vocals people, and I've seen people do it on the internet where they've just hired vocals out to, you know, there's people on the internet who will do it for you. And I wouldn't want it for the silly songs like that, but I wouldn't mind having the theme for my cartoon that I'll probably never finish because this building's so small. It's hard to work on like animations like on that scale in here, but I wouldn't mind paying someone to do the vocals for the more upbeat version of the song that you know, doesn't get used, because the one that actually shows up on the cartoon intro is a little bit more bleak and dreary. But yeah, I'd quite like to get someone who can do sort of jazzy sounding vocals to record the vocals for that. It would be pretty cool. Maybe someday we'll look into that. No, I'm not going over there on the left. That can stay out there. We didn't see that. It's not an omen. Jesus Christ, now we know what caused it. The world is turning. The world is turning around. The world is turning, and here's what I found. The sun shines beaming down on a brand new day, and everyone smiles as they go along their miserable way. The world turns and is turning, always turning around. The sun shines always shining, there's no rain coming down. And I smile while inside I may be wearing a frown. The world turns and is turning and is turning around. There's that sort of a vibe about it, you know. It's a bit nonsensical. It's kind of supposed to be, because I guess the guy who'd be singing it in the context of a cartoon, his brain's probably not all there. It always returns to that sort of motif somewhere about the world turning. If that's... no, it's one of them Twin Towers buildings. There's a radio tower and you don't see them very often. I mean, they're on other buildings. I won't stop there either, because those are shit. And there's a Trabant that's just gutted out, so there's not really much to look at there. For now, we're only going to stop for cars. You gotta have some little bit of wonder in your bass line, you know. You gotta have that in there somewhere. A load of saxophone, like, turning up. I actually feel quite at home writing that style of music, and I'm not sure why, because it's not really my kind of music, but, you know, I can just quite happily sit there and knock out post-war jazz kind of noises. And I can do it to existing songs and stuff as well. I can turn most any song into like shitty upbeat post-war jazz. It's in an odd meter, and I feel comfortable playing in an odd meter. I'm still tempted to someday actually make a video explaining why I think some of Banjo-Kazooie's songs are odd metered and people transcribe them as even. I mean, you can sort of cover it quite easily. You know, Grunty's Lie. You think it's in March time or something. 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't know. I don't really hear it like that, you know. To me it's more like a 1 and a 2, you know. 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 kind of thing going on. So I mean, you can transcribe it as birth, and it sort of looks right as birth. There's certain bits that get me. Is it an even meter that's just using triplets, or is it actually an odd meter? And the thing is, you could put like sort of, you know, your typical jazz drum beat underneath it, under there, you know. That'd give you an odd meter, and it'd sit fine underneath there, and the sort of the backing to the track sort of follows that, like do. You know, you sort of like that with it. Yeah, you know, you can stick that under there. Because if you think of why your sort of your beats would be, and your offbeat in the middle, you get like 3. These are always worth looking at. You get some nice things in these. Sure, I can hear a noise. It's probably my car. It's that like ascending bit there that does it for me. Like that's in 3s. So I don't know. You see, I honestly think it's an odd metered song there. Clanker's Cavern I do as well. And that even has that stereotypical jazz beat in it. You know, maybe it's not so obvious with the initial part of it. You know, the like you maybe can't hear it in the backing so much there, but you have the so it's a jazz song. You get the bit in the middle, like I always sing the "Hey sexy lady, let's see your tits," but whatever. You know, that's the it's in there again, maybe. So I don't know. I reckon there's a lot of odd metered songs in Banjo-Kazooie that Karko just transcribed as even for whatever reason. Maybe the game sound driver doesn't do odd meters. Because I mean, even Click Clock Wood's Summer Stage is in the game, like it's on a 4/4 like meter in the sequence in the game. So I don't know, maybe Karko just didn't know how to switch his program into like 3/4 and 3/8 and 6/8 and whatever. That could just be the audio driver maybe didn't like it and could only do it in 4s. Because there's no way around Click Clock Wood Summer is definitely 3/4, it's waltz. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, see? So that means we've nowhere to tell what the intention was, other than sort of looking at how it's put together. And there'll be someone watching this probably who knows more about music than me, who's like, oh well, it's actually really obvious and your terminology is horrible and you don't know what you're on about, and Yeah, I don't actually know very much about music, so the one thing that is weird with Grunt is La is the party version that plays, like, and it only plays in the teleport room to Farmer's Fun, which is such a shit. Farmer's Fun. When you say it out loud, Farmer's, unfarmers, it's on far. I'm sure they've done it on purpose. It's been rare well. But yeah, that version, like, the transition to that isn't smooth. Like, the transition to the other tracks, well, here they usually playing out the same sequence anyway, and that one doesn't. That is like its own sequence. Yeah, because usually it's just fading channels in and out and stuff. Which again is basically just using MIDI. Yeah, that version has its own sequence, and it doesn't transition in and out of that one smoothly. It is kind of unique. It's an interesting music, that game. It really does, you know. I do need to play it on this channel again someday. Banjo-Tooie, I don't like that game. I really don't like that game. And I find its crippled frame rate to be downright unacceptable. Not very much of interest happening in this part, is it? We will have parts like this. I am sorry for that. You know what? This actually looks kind of a bit like the title screen area, doesn't it? Like, if it wasn't like grass, this would be almost the title screen area. I want one of them to spawn in the middle of the road. It can happen. And I have my reasons for wanting this. Which hopefully I get to elaborate to you before, like, what appears in the road. Because I suspect that nearly every seed will have one in the middle of the road, but, you know, in some cases it might be 50 kilo Fujimumas away. In others it might be like 4,500 kilo Fufu Lulu Mumus away. You know, what really fascinates me is just how many slang words there are for female genitals. Like, it sort of does show that people's brains have always been in the same place. You know, quite often, like, they sort of present our people in the past, and like, it's like, well, of course they did. You wouldn't be here if they didn't think about these things, you know. Maybe they weren't so open about it, but that stuff was still there in their head. They were still thinking about it. How about you? Masturbation was about as common, like, you know, say 150 years ago, when it would have been really frowned upon in most communities, you know, but it still went on just as much as it does now, and people were just less open about it. You know, me sitting here today now, I'll turn around and tell you, like, hey, I masturbate, like, quite often, isn't really going to do anything. You just like, well, define often, you know. You go back that far and say that, then people probably get quite angry with you. I don't think they like it very much. Even then, you know, I feel like in certain parts of society it probably wouldn't really bother people. Because we get history really is written by usually toffs, let's be honest. So you're kind of seeing it from their perspective. And we know a lot of the things that have been written about the present time aren't entirely accurate. And so, you know, that sucks, because that's what people in the future will read about the time we existed. I think what really gets me is cowboy movies, because I had to see a lot of them growing up. My dad loved cowboy films, especially if they were black and white, and it always used to irritate me. He'd always have that scene where the guy would ride into town, and, you know, you'd have like, "What are you doing here? I don't reckon I've seen you around these parts before. We don't much like vagabonds in this town." "You know, Sheriff, them's some mighty big words for someone from such a small town." "Oh, really? Well, let me tell you, around this small town, we show our sheriff a bit more respect." "Oh, is that right? Is that for real? Is that for certain?" "Well, where I come from, we don't even have a sheriff. We got rid of him 'cause he couldn't keep his mouth shut. You know, around here, them's fighting words. Maybe you want to put your money where your mouth is. I see you got a pistol there. I bet you couldn't even hit the side of the barn with that thing." "Oh, really? I'm the fastest gunman in all my town. That's why I'm in charge there. I'll show you if you come back here tomorrow." "Well, I reckon you got yourself a deal there, Pilgrim. I'll be here tomorrow. You better be here tomorrow. Let me tell you, where I come from, the sheriff knew not to start trouble, and when he did, he learned the hard way why it was a bad idea. Well, pilgrims around here, they learn not to start trouble with the sheriff, 'cause they learned the hard way why they should not have done it." It's like, for fuck's sake, people didn't used to talk like this, and why does it need to be this long? It just goes on and on and on and on. This endless fucking back and forth of them sort of trying to look hard and failing miserably. It's like, people never fucking spoke like that. I would lay money on people never fucking spoke like that in the Old West. Oh, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they did. Maybe that was just normal daily conversation now. "Well, where I come from, we didn't even have a sheriff. That's some mighty big words from someone who come from such a small town." So I don't think so. I think parts of it are probably accurate, but I think it's, yeah, I reckon that's probably all made up for the movies. And it's actually just irritating. I would have slapped somebody if I'd been about back then and they'd spoke to me like in that way, because it's just dumb. And I don't think people back then was dumb compared to, say, people now are still dumb. Like, I don't think they were dumber back then. If anything, they were probably a bit smarter back then. You're like, oh, well, education's better now, but well, it is. But I'm thinking things more like intuition and shit people seem to have lost. In fact, what you will from this, but it's very interesting when you look at people from, you know, back in that time period before we had like internet. Your only news and stuff came from, you know, word of mouth and newspapers, and maybe you'd receive like a telegraph from somewhere, you know, if you were someone important or whatever. Maybe you'd have this going on that might just be for business purposes or something, but still, you know, you can't just go on the internet and talk to other people and find the information. And yet these people still almost invariably knew when something was bullshit. They just seem to be able to pick up on it. Like, you know, you read about things that happened and things that people did, and people just seemed to have this sixth sense for like, no, I don't believe this is rubbish. Like, they're lying to me, and this isn't actually good for me and society and everything. No, this is garbage. It's like, they really just seem to have a knack for it. And people don't seem to have that so much now. People are much more gullible now. Thing is, I feel like it was probably two extremes more back then, though, where if you did find somebody who was gullible, they were probably way more gullible than your average gullible person is now. Oh, maybe it was just they had more time to think about these things because they didn't have the internet to distract them, you know. I'm sure we've all ended up like, oh, I'm going to do that in a minute, and then you end up watching like 2 hours of shit on the internet and the thing doesn't get done. I'm pretty good at turning myself away from it, but a lot of people aren't, and it's understandable. You know, I'm not being critical of people who fall into that trap. Always does make me laugh. Life was simpler back then. Was it really? Like bugger it was. It was fucking hard. Everything fucking killed you. You know, you died by the time you'd got just a few decades on the clock. Fucking, you know, food storage was worse. You couldn't just, oh, I'll just put this in the refrigerator. No, you had an ice box. I used to harvest ice to run them, but it made things taste gamey. Used a fuck ton of salt to preserve things, I guess, but yeah, like, if I wanted to talk to someone, would I have to send them like letters and shit? It would have taken ages if they lived a long distance away. I think a lot of you seeing this aren't in my country, even. Which, to me, it's still quite magical, because I'm just old enough to where I got to live in a world that didn't really have internet in it very much. The internet existed, but almost nobody had it, and I'm just old enough to have been in that world for a while, and to me it will always be magical, the fact that I can pretty much in real time talk to somebody in America and the Philippines and Canada and Australia and pretty much anywhere else on the planet at the same time without having to get out of my chair. And to me that is still quite magical. If I want to buy something, I can do that from my chair. I can just find a vendor that sells the thing I want, or like another person who's selling it, and be like, I would like to buy this. Unfortunately, because I live on the European continent, they often fuck you around and don't actually want to sell it. That is 70s orange. We're painting the car. We're going to paint it. I think we're about done with this part. It wasn't a very eventful one, was it? I'm very sorry. I think we'll get rid of this trailer though. I can show you how the paint works now though. Let's go down to 75%. I just want this 70s orange, man. This game seems to come from the 70s with its vibe of things that are in it, so... Oh man, it's like Jade's car from Interstate 76, this colour. It's just a shame it is shitty European car, and so... it doesn't have that yank tank quality that I would so like it to have. What's this? We have to press the button 100 times to do it. If you're listening, Dev, it would be nice if we could just hold the button down. You're like, hey, that won't work, you're putting red paint in a thing. Well, you see, the thing here is, you obviously don't understand how paint works there, my man. Because the thing is, paint is actually just an illusion. And it's only the colour on the tin that's telling your brain what to expect. So, you know, that's the thing. When you go in a building, how do you actually know that that building is, say, like, painted blue? Only because someone told you it was. Otherwise your brain's just trying to guess. There is no such thing as colour. And so, if you put paint in like a tin that has a different colour on the side, you'll get a different coloured paint. And we have got an orange paint. But I think we'll do a manual save, we'll check our distance, and I guess I'll fuck off. Oh jeez, we didn't crash, did we? Oh no, we didn't. Well, there we go, 171k. Now, my treason, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.